That's what we celebrate tonight. As we go into the last leg of the campaign, only 26 days left till Election Day. We're gonna make history. Yep. I see my friend Chris Kennedy over there who's running for governor, and Rajoy. Thanks for coming out, guys, to the great Southwest side. And let me tell you why I want to go to Congress. I came to this community 53 years ago from a small village in northern Durango. Viva Durango. And this community, this city, and this country has embraced me in the most profound way, where I have come to see each and every one of you as my sister, my brother, my daughter, my son, the people I love most. This is what America means to me. You are the American dream to me. And I want to be your voice in Congress. I want to fight to protect the young people, the dreamers, and the DACA class of people, their families, and to bring about immigration reform for all our people, different ethnicities, different races from many countries in the globe. I want to be that voice in Congress because I've lived the immigrant experience. And you've made it a wonderful experience. I want to fight Donald Trump. And I want to move our country to a place where college education at public colleges and universities is free for all of our children. And I learned from a great doctor, Dr. Quentin Young, during the 1990s, that the only way forward as a country that truly cares about its people is having Medicare for all, single payer in America. If France can do it, if Spain can do it, if Canada can do it, we should be able to do it. Let's do it now. And don't forget, I said sisters and brothers. And that means standing up for women's rights at every turn. It means standing against sexual harassment. It means standing with our LGBTQ community at every step. It means standing up for African Americans, for Muslim Americans, for all of our families. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. Les quiero agradecer a todos los miembros de la comunidad hispanoparlante por estar aquí. Nos faltan solo 27 días para ganar una rotunda victoria para toda nuestra comunidad. Yo quiero ser la voz y el voto de toda nuestra comunidad en el Congreso de los Estados Unidos, como inmigrante, como hijo de gente trabajadora, como alguien que ama a todas mis hermanas y hermanos, porque todos somos americanos. So, without further ado, I have the distinct honor, pleasure, and it just tickles me to death to say that General Senator Bernie Sanders has come to Chicago. And
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me thank, this is a great turnout. Thank you all very much for coming here today. And let me thank Senator Nina Turner for the great work she is doing. And let me thank all of the people who helped organize this great event. You know, Chuy made a point that I want to repeat. When I ran for president, we talked about the need to create a political revolution. We talked about the need for working people and young people to get involved in the political process, to stand up and fight back. And man, what I am seeing in Chicago right now is you are doing exactly that. Thank you very much. In case you didn't know it, the establishment of Chicago knows that you are here, and they are getting nervous. So thank you all for expanding that political revolution right here in Illinois. Now, I am here this afternoon not because Chuy Garcia is a friend of mine, although he is a good friend of mine. And I'm not here because he ran a great campaign for mayor in which he brought the people together and ran a grassroots campaign, but I'm not here for that reason. And I am not here because he supported me for president, although I appreciate that very much. I am here this afternoon because we are living in a pivotal moment in American history. We need strong, progressive voices in Washington, and Chuy Garcia will be that voice. This is an unprecedented moment in American history, and the future of this country, and in fact the future of the world, and the future of our children and our grandchildren depends upon what you do and what you do and what you do. And one of the important things that we can do in the next few weeks is to make sure not only that Chuy Garcia wins, but that he wins big. And that he helps bring in a slate of younger people who are running for office as well. This is a pivotal moment in American history because we have a president of the United States who is a pathological liar, who has told outright lies hundreds and hundreds of times since he has been elected. Someone who cannot be trusted because he says one thing on Monday and a very different thing on Tuesday. And the big lie that he told during his campaign was that he was going to stand with the working families of this country. What an outrageous lie. He said he would stand with workers, but since he has been president, he has done exactly the opposite. You may recall that when he ran for president, he said, Donald Trump, I'm going to provide health care to everybody. And then he supported legislation to throw 32 million Americans off of the health care they currently have. When Trump ran for office, he said, hey, I'm a different type of Republican. I'm not going to cut Medicare or Medicaid or Social Security. And yet he just presented a budget which includes $1 trillion cut to Medicaid, $500 billion cut to Medicare, and billions of dollars in cuts to people on Social Security disability. When Trump ran for president, he said, I'm going to introduce tax reform legislation that is going to be for the working people. And yet 83% of the benefits of his tax bill at the end of 10 years goes to the top 1%. When Trump ran for president, he said, I'm going to drain the swamp. Well, he brought the swamp to Washington, D.C. He has more billionaires in his administration, more people from Wall Street than any president in the history of the United States. Trump said that he was going to take on the establishment, but he ended up adopting the economic views of the Koch brothers and the billionaire class. And those views, simply stated, ought to provide massive tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations, and then proceed to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education, nutrition programs. Tax breaks for the wealthy and taking away the programs that the working families and low-income people desperately depend upon. That is not taking on the establishment. That is causing massive amounts of pain for millions of Americans. And if Trump had any sense of righteousness, he would be deeply ashamed of the lies that he told. But it's not just that Trump is a fraud and a huckster. If that's all that he was, it would not be endangering our country. But he is more than that. You know, the truth is that we have had conservative presidents, we have had liberal, progressive presidents, but every president has understood something that a president has got to do. It's the job. It's what the job is. It is to bring the American people together. Bring us together. And almost every president, liberal or conservative, has understood that. But Donald Trump not only has not understood that, shamefully, he is doing exactly the opposite. He is trying to divide us up. He is trying to divide us up based on the color of our skin. Remember, he was one of the leaders of the so-called birther movement. He is dividing us up based on the country that we came from. His attacks and slurs on the Mexican people are disgraceful. He is trying to divide us up based on our religion. His anti-Muslim words are hurtful. He is trying to divide us up based on our sexual orientation. And what we are here today to tell Donald Trump is this country has suffered too much, has struggled too much to overcome racism and sexism and homophobia and xenophobia and religious bigotry. We have come too far in the fight against racism and bigotry. We are not going back. All of which takes us to where we are this afternoon and to Chuy Garcia. Because we need members of Congress who are not only prepared to stand up to Trump and his racism and his xenophobia, we need members of Congress who are prepared to take on the billionaire class, who are prepared to stop the drift toward oligarchy and authoritarianism, and are prepared to stand with the working people of this country. Chuy Garcia understands that when you have a handful of billionaires like the Koch brothers prepared to spend $400 million in the coming election, that is not democracy, that is oligarchy. And that is why Chuy is going to fight not only to overturn Citizens United, but move to public funding of elections, one person, one vote. And Chuy and I are going to work together to end the voter suppression and the gerrymandering we're seeing all over this country. One person, one vote is what democracy is about. And Chuy knows that a nation cannot long survive when so few have so much and so many have so little. For 40 years, the middle class of this country has been shrinking while massive amounts of income and wealth have gone to the few. Right now in America, you got 3 people who own more wealth than the bottom half of our country. 3 people. And Chuy and I believe we are not going to give tax breaks to billionaires. We're going to demand they start paying their fair share of taxes. You know, it's a funny thing. Just the other day, Bill Gates, one of the wealthiest people in this country, worth billions of dollars. Bill Gates gets up and he says, it is insane to give me a tax break. I don't need it. I should be paying more in taxes. That's Bill Gates. Chuy understands, and I understand, and you understand, that millions of Americans are not making it when they're working for $9, $10 an hour, that we've got to raise the minimum wage in this country to a living wage, $15 an hour. And Chuy understands that it is not right that women make 80 cents on the dollar, equal pay for equal work. And Chuy is going to stand with me against the horrific attacks all over this country that are taking place against a woman's right to control her own body. In every major country on earth, health care is considered a right, not a privilege. But in our country, with the dysfunctional health care system we have 30 million people with zero health insurance, and many of you with deductibles and co-payments that are so high that you can't afford to go to the doctor. And we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Enough is enough. The United States will join the rest of the industrialized world. We are going to pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. And Chuy knows, and I know, that there are millions of young working-class kids, middle-class kids, who desperately want to get a higher education in a very competitive global economy, because we all know that most of the good-paying jobs out there will require higher education or at least some technical training for jobs that pay a decent wage. And Chuy understands, as I do, that it is basically insane that we have tens of millions of young people leaving school dragged down by oppressive levels of debt. And that is why together, Chuy and I are going to work to make public colleges and universities tuition-free. And why we are going to substantially lower student debt in this country. And don't tell me that we can't afford to do that after the Congress just voted another $165 billion increase for the military and tax breaks for billionaires. And there is another issue that I know impacts Chicago deeply, and that is the issue of immigration. And brothers and sisters, we are dealing now with one of the great moral crises of our time. There are 1.8 million young Americans who are either in the DACA program or eligible for DACA. We will not turn our backs on those young people. And no matter what Trump and his xenophobic friends may think, over 80% of the American people believe that we should provide legal status to the DACA young people, and most others believe they should have a path toward citizenship. And Chuy understands, as you do and I do, that there is something profoundly wrong in this country when we have more people in jail than any other country on earth, that we have a broken criminal justice system, and that, among many other things, we need to end the war on drugs. And Chuy will work with me to end this disastrous Trump decision to end net neutrality. The internet is the future. It belongs to the people, not a handful of large corporations. And everybody here knows about the disastrous hurricanes that hit Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, Florida, Texas 5 months ago. And everybody here knows, if Donald Trump does not know, that a contributing factor to the intensity of those hurricanes was climate change. Brothers and sisters, we are talking about the future not only of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, we are talking about the future of this planet. We have got to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energies. And lastly, I want to say a word that I know is on an issue on everybody's mind. And that is, we have all seen the horrible, horrible videos that came out of the high school in Parkland, Florida. We have seen the videos and the tragedy that took place some months ago outside of a hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. And all over this country, there are moms and dads who pack the school lunch for their kids and they say, my God, is somebody going to shoot my beautiful child today in a school? Now, getting a handle on the fact that there are hundreds of millions of guns in this country is not going to be easy. Getting a handle on the fact that there are 5 million assault weapons on the streets of this country is not going to be easy. But we have a moral responsibility to tell the NRA that they are not going to dictate gun policy in this country anymore. And it is very clear that more and more, a significant majority of the American people, including people who own guns, understand that we need common sense gun safety legislation. Who believes for a second that it makes sense that we keep people off of planes because they're on a terrorist watch list, but they can go out and buy a weapon? Who believes that kids should be able to walk in and pick up assault weapons? Who believes that millions of people should be able to buy guns without any background checks at all? So what the American people, not just me and not just you, what we are saying is we are going to do everything humanly possible to protect the children and the people of this country against the senseless gun violence that we are seeing, whether the NRA likes it or not. I know that people get discouraged about what they see every day. And their hearts ache when they see the kind of person we have in the White House. But what I want to beg of you, is to understand that despair is not an option. It is not good enough to say, I'm sick and tired and I'm disgusted and I'm not going to get involved. This moment, this danger to our country today calls upon all of us to be more involved in every way than we have ever been before. And if you can send Chuy Garcia to the Congress, and if you can send the other wonderful young progressive people who are running with him to the offices that they are seeking, the word will go out all across this country that the American people are taking back our government. So, brothers and sisters, thanks very much for being here. Thanks for standing up for America. And thanks for demanding and fighting for a government that represents all of us, not just the 1%. Thank you very much.